Hello everybody, Andy here again. Right, this is Scenic Walk number 5, I do believe, or was it 6? I can't remember now. I'll put it on the front anyway. But today, a slightly different variation, because I'm not actually going anywhere particularly scenic, I suppose, and I'm not going very far from home, because I'm actually going to take you around the old part of Hastings itself. Now, Hastings is well known for its fishing boats, and you might be able to see some of them behind me. And I'm just going to take you around the old part of the town, which is the more historical sort of area of the town. A little bit of history. They reckon that there's been a settlement here in Hastings since the sort of 8th century AD, and they think there's been some sort of fishing fleet here in this sort of area, maybe not in Hastings but in this sort of local area, since about the Roman times. So there's quite a bit of history. So I'll show you some of the fishing boats, some of the sort of more medieval buildings and that we've got here, and also the castle as well, which was built by William of Normandy, William the Conqueror as he was known as, and I'll tell you a bit more about that as we go along. Well, here's the fishing fleet. I hope you can hear me. Look, with the sea behind me, and it's actually quite breezy, as it usually is by the seaside anyway. But I'll pan round. You won't be able to see the lift up there, which I'll take you up to a bit later on. But the fishing fleet here itself, they reckon, said there's been a fishing fleet in this area since the sort of Roman times, before the Roman times. But also, this is one of the last sort of beach fishing fleets that we've got. Most fleets of ships, fishing boats, as you're probably aware, sort of come out of harbours, but we actually operate them off the beach here. There's about 40 ships or boats, I say, that operate from here, and that's the sort of largest, or certainly one of the last, of the sort of beach fishing fleets that we've got here in the UK, and certainly the largest anyway. As I said, this is one of the working fishing ships and other boats, and I'll show you exactly what they do. A bit fortuitous, I suppose someone's actually turned up and the boat's actually going to come onto the shore. Let's ram them up onto the beach and then pull them ashore. As you see, it's not a particularly easy operation. They just drive up onto the beach and then they get pulled up by winches and everything. And have people called boys ashore, and that's their whole job, is just to come down and help launch and rescue the boats when they come back in. There's actually another one coming in over to the side of me, so it's obviously peak rush hour here down on Hastings Beach. Very gradual process, as I'm sure you can see. Well, I've just said another one's just come in, so it must definitely be rush hour, I think. Let's give you a quick sort of panorama of this particular area down where all the boats come in. So it's obviously quite a fishing community here in the old town part of Hastings. As I said, one of the last remaining sort of beach fishing fleets. I mean, a dying trade, I suppose, nowadays. And you've got all the detritus, whatever you want to call it, all the bits and pieces. That's the East Hill lift, which I'll tell you a bit more about in a minute. I mean, all the different nets and everything that they use here. Spare boats and tractors for pulling things up off the shore, off of the beach. There you hear the seagulls. Obviously the seagulls are going to start swarming in now that the boats have come in as well. And I think breakfast has arrived. Well, what you're looking at now are they're called here net shops, and what they do, they were built years and years ago, traditional sort of old wooden buildings, and the idea was that people would put all their fishing gear, nets, etc. into these to keep them dry, because obviously there's no way of doing that in the past. The reason they're so small is because the cliffs are right behind me, and the sea used to come up a lot higher than what it does now, so what they had to do was to make them small and tall rather than short and long, I suppose. But these are once again one of the sort of traditional pieces that we've still got here. I don't think there is any others anywhere else in the UK actually, these net shops. Quite a little tourist attraction, this whole area. As you can see, that right in front of you is half a boat. They do actually use that in the summer for someone actually cooks nice fish off of that, straight out of the boats. There's actually the other half of it is just around the corner. I'll show you that in a minute. I'm standing right beside the big half of the bow of the boat that I told you that was cut in half, the original fishing boat, and there's the other one. It's called Half Sovereign Cottage. pounding very slowly. It was actually built in a garden in Tunbridge Cross, sort of 25-30 miles away from here. And they brought it down here, and it was actually launched and used for quite a while. Then they sort of decommissioned it and cut it in half. And behind that you can actually see a proper, apart from some more of the net shops, actually a proper fishing museum. It's a real sort of culture of fishing, a real community of fishermen around here. And this is a lift I mentioned earlier, the East Hill lift. You actually have two here, because Hastings is sort of built more or less around two hills. The East Hill, which is this one, and the West Hill, which is where the castle is. This is the steepest funicular railway in Britain, apparently.